Yo guys, Robbie here. I appreciate it's been a while since I have done any sort of YouTube video. I have been involved with a project which has taken up a lot of my time. Well, several projects to be honest with you, has taken up a lot of my time. So it's been a while since I've done a video. However, one kind of project that's sort of jumped out in my mind recently, purely because actually I was a participant in the ICO in the initial coin offering of Gladius, is a video that I actually wanted to do just to kind of perhaps update people who may be partook in the ICO like myself or was interested in what's going on with this project, may have seen it around, may have even purchased tokens on an exchange for Gladius and thought what's going on here. All of those different reasons, I just thought I'd do an update. And to be honest with you, it may very well not be anything beyond what people already know that may be heavily involved in and around the community, in and around the Telegram community in particular for Gladius. However, I still think it's worth it doing a video on for those of you that may not be involved in the Gladius community. There may even be people who probably are, a lot of people who know more than I do. However, just in terms of keeping the content rolling out on my website, on my YouTube, but also just for the purposes of updating a few people as well, I thought I'd share my thoughts and just, a quick overview of what's going on. Worth mentioning as well, noticed the gains in crypto recently. Lots of positive news coming out there. Let's hope that this bullish sentiment continues. Anyway, on to Gladius. So if you're not sure what Gladius is, you can take a look here on their website, gladius.io. I'm just on the About section here at the top. Now, it's a nice kind of overview that they give. The website's really nicely laid out. Businesses, developers, and individuals seek to use Gladius, etc. So, what is Gladius? Is a cybersecurity company dedicated to ending distributed denial of service, formerly known as DDoS. Even if you are not familiar with the whole terminology of distributed denial of service, DDoS is a commonly used terminology that people often understand. They might not know what that is. Essentially, it's just sending a loads of information at a computer, and essentially just looking to crash, deny of a service. In terms of DDoS attacks, they're really fairly one of the most common forms of cyber attacks that occur throughout the internet. Fairly simple to do, and not so simple to protect from, because essentially you need to ensure that you have enough bandwidth protection to stop the denial of the service from too much bandwidth being peppered onto your website. So in terms of its use case, I was really sort of positive and bullish on Gladius. Essentially, how they were looking to assist people with combating DDoS attacks was to allow people, to leverage their unused bandwidth, whether that's a personal computer or if they, have like large amounts of bandwidth from an ISP or companies, whatever it may be, leverage that in order to use that unused bandwidth to protect like another peer, another client, um, website or whatever other service, whatever area they may be using that from, to stop these DDoS attacks. Okay, they was going to do that through an ecosystem using the Gladius tokens, so people could purchase this a service for protecting against DDoS, and then they would issue the person who's using that or essentially giving up their bandwidth for that protection in Gladius. Just kind of just a quick overview there. So what went wrong or what happened with Gladius? And it's, sorry, I should just note saying that obviously I'm not a financial advisor, but I'm not giving any financial advice here whatsoever. This is just pure information anyway, but just to sort of cover my own back with that. So what went wrong with Gladius? Well, essentially, they self-reported to the SEC that they believe they may be in some violations, and as a result, they pretty much just kind of locked the project in its tracks. You'll note that their Twitter account here, their last post was 14th of March, so some time ago now. And there's not been much ways in the ways of updates on their Medium, which is somewhere available on their site, and so on and so forth. You can see the team here. Even if we click on CoinMarketCap, we have a look here, you just notice 000. I mean, it's green for whatever reason, but there's all these kind of question marks in around the volume. There's nothing in the way of market. There's no data here being tied into coin market cap. That's essentially because they self-reported themselves to the SEC as concerned of in violation of of some law security laws in the US, and they are a US based organization. What came as a result of that report was the SEC's report, which is readily available in Telegram. I'm not sure how available it is on their website or anything. It's probably not the sort of thing that they are looking to, share, um, probably beyond um, their community within the Telegram and potential investors. But it's openly available on Telegram. So all of this kind of outlines their findings and the potential violations, and essentially it just outlines, and this is probably the most interesting thing for people if you did invest in the ICOs, what they have to do. So in terms of down here, it outlines what their violations that they are in contempt of, and what they have to do as a result to not impose a civil penalty. Now it's also worth noticing as well that up here it determines when the initial coin offering took place, October to December. Yeah, October to December. They hit their card cap of 12.7. So they didn't even go to public sale. So very successful. 12.7 million of ETH. Now, when we go down, it essentially indicates here in what they have to do is that basically they need to reimburse everybody who, paid in ETH at that time for the Gladius tokens. The Gladius tokens have all been kind of locked on exchange. The only place that you can buy or sell these now is on IDEX or decentralized exchange, but they are not, essentially they're kind of useless at the moment because they can't be, they've got no use case at present, and also, um, in terms of the value, it's just dropped to nothing. There's nothing you can do with them. People who bought, and I know a lot of people bought large sums of Gladius on exchanges, there's no determination in the report from the SEC with regards to what that Gladius need to owe them anything. I don't think that they, unfortunately, it doesn't appear as though, from what I can see, that there's anything determining that they need to be reimbursed. The ICO, it does indicate that the are required to essentially reimburse people as a result of any claim forms that come in. As we can see here, submit a written claim respondents addressed by a claim form using the deadline using the claim form within 8 months of the claim form deadline. Respondent will make all payments it deems to be due and adequately substantiate to purchasers who submitted the claim form before the claim form deadline. In terms of when that is, it's a massive kind of grey area. I mean, there's numerous dates sort of mentioned here. Somebody who's got a keen legal eye would probably be able to pick this apart. But this is a date I know. Within 13 months of the effective date, respondent will submit to commission staff a final report of its handling of all claims received under paragraph 3 above. I was of the When I first read this report, it was some time ago, and I was of the opinion that actually it was some point in July 2019 that I believed that the claim form needed to be released to to the ICO participants. But then, having said that, I was expecting a press release within 14 days. I never noticed a press release. Press release link on the order on Gladius's company website. I've never noticed that. Um, you know, Maybe other people might be able to find it, but I don't see it. So whether I've just missed it or they haven't done it, I don't know. So when can ICO participants expect to be refunded? Again, I don't know, but I am looking out for this July date, and I'm keen to kind of see whether or not they follow through on what is essentially outlined by the SEC. In terms of the you know, here I've just had a search for the report and whatever on Telegram, and I know that here Alex Godwin, they barely ever respond to any of the developers in Gladius whatsoever. From time to time, Alex seems to be the only one who offers some kind of comment. He's indicated here we're on our way to complying with the order, so it's been in our hands since then. The process requires a full audit of our financials. We are essentially going through the process that a public company would. We knew that this was a long process when we decided to self-report. As for Max, who's the CEO of Gladius, this is the first day our lawyers have allowed us to open communications, so he is not a coward. Reading what you've had to say is uncomfortable every day, and not responding has been extremely challenging. Also, getting compliant is the exact opposite of dropping the ball. We've been working on the private repositories as we work towards protecting our intellectual property. I think he spent the intellectual property there. So, I mean, you know, even if we go to their latest dev update that here, you know, they're talking about nodes, they're talking about what they, you know, what they're planning to do. That was done on April 19th. I believe that they're planning on actually still releasing Gladius as a product, but clearly, you know, the any sort of crypto or blockchain ties, certainly in terms of creating an ecosystem based on Gladius. I don't know how they would do that. I don't think they probably can at this moment in time. Some people, there's obviously a lot of angry community members. It's not ideal as one of the first ICOs I was involved in, that they just took 12.7 million of people's ETH and then just, you know, within a matter of months self-reported, and the whole kind of ecosystem was just gone, stopped, blocked. So you know, that's far from ideal, and people have obviously been angry about that. Um, there's lots of people kind of calling out Gladius of going, well, you know what, you've done it very, very cleverly, because essentially they've taken this 12.7 million. That was around ETH was like in the major bull run, and it was around sort of like $450 at that time. So that went to, I don't know, what, $1,400 did ETH? So 2.5 times if they kept that in ETH and then withdrew then. Who knows exactly how much they could have potentially made from this. But I would imagine, and this is the sentiment from a lot of community members, that they're probably sitting fairly financially pretty to push this project forward based on, you know, investors' money who've seen or heard next to nothing for months and months. So rather disappointingly. So I don't know if they produce this brilliant kind of, because the reason I invested was absolutely from a fundamental perspective. I thought it was a great idea. How they're going to leverage people's bandwidth now from a sort of peer-to-peer kind of process without the Gladius ecosystem to adequately reward people given their spare bandwidth, and in crypto, will there still be as much kind of demand for it and hype around it? Again, I don't know. However, you know, let's wait and see, I guess. So, in terms of this video, that's kind of all I wanted to relay at this moment in time. For a lot of people who may be stuck in limbo with perhaps being involved in the ICO, you can hopefully this video has helped you out a little bit. If you search for the SEC report in Telegram, you can find that without problem. You can have a look on the website, and I'm hoping there'll be some sort of release come July. I will probably do a follow-up video just for people's interest within the next month or two. Okay, guys, cheers for watching as always. Take it easy.